What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Juju Green, aka Straw Hat Goofy, your movie guy, and I'm here with the director of The Running Man, Edgar Wright. How you doing, bro?
What an intro.
I gotta do it every time.
Wake up, Juju. Time to go to work. All right, can we talk about wake up, I get it, wake up, I get it, I go with everyone saying I'm up next. It's not my fault that the vocals are gold, they're making the haters so upset. My life is a movie, the way that I roll. They saying I'm goofy, but baby, you know I'm making everybody obsessed. Cause we the best, how we get wrecked, and I know we gonna get bread, we gonna get bread. We gonna get bread, we gonna get bread. We gonna get bread, we gonna get bread.
I'm glad you commented on it, man. I'm a super huge fan of you.
Oh, thank you.
I've been watching your movies forever. Shaun of the Dead is my favorite zombie movie of all time.
Thank you.
You killed that thing, man. It made me see just kind of genre bending a lot differently. I didn't know you could bend genre in the way that you have done it. And every movie from Scott Pilgrim to just the whole Cornetto trilogy to Baby Driver, I'm just like, man, I was dying at the chance to get to talk to you. And now here we are.
Oh, thank you.
Look at us, man. What I want to talk about, what I like to do on my show, it's called Get Wrecked with Straw Hat Goofy, where I talk to wonderful people like yourself, and I believe that movies kind of build us in a way. They kind of create the building blocks to who we are. So what I like to ask my guests is, what is a movie that you can recommend that changed your brain chemistry and created the building blocks to who Edgar Wright is?
Oh my God, there's so many. I mean, if I talk about one that kind of I think was, I don't think a direct influence on this, but I'll give you a thing, actually. When we had the first test screening for the film, you have those focus groups, and they were talking about the film, and then one person in the focus group said, it reminded me of the film Brazil. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. And I was like, oh, I said, I take that as and actually funny that the moderator of the focus group said, oh, we're getting a little old school there. And I was like,
how
old
did that
school?
make you feel?
I said, hey, I love Brazil. No, that would be a film, actually, that I think I saw that on TV. I didn't see it at the cinema at the time. I saw it on TV when I was probably 13. And that definitely rewired my brain in terms of, I just saw something being so nightmarish and, but also imaginative and funny at the same time. It's it's such a glorious, interesting world, but at the same time it's this Orwellian nightmare. So it's this strange mix of a really funny film and a really dark film at the same time.
Right.
And I just like the sort of level of invention in that movie. And actually, it really, kind of fueled my artistic passions and stuff. But then watching it now, having made movies, I'm also very aware of how difficult that movie must have been to make.
Right, of course.
Because it's just a high level of difficulty throughout that movie. And of course, if you read anything about the production of it, it wasn't necessarily an easy production, but it's an incredible movie.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying here, because it seems like that awakened your passion for Trojan horse movies. I remember you described a lot of your films as a Trojan horse for these deeper themes and these stories, right? And you can look at Shaun of the Dead as a Trojan horse in that genre. Can you talk to me about some of your favorite in the same vein as Brazil, your favorite Trojan horse type of movies where it seems like something on the outside, but when you dig a little bit deeper, it says something more?
Well, I think the best of genre is where the message is kind of smuggled in. And I think that's the thing, is because you actually might reach a wider audience with a genre film that would not necessarily watch a straight up dramatic movie on the same subject.
Right.
A really good one as an example, and this is an interesting one, because I think at the time that it came out, it could be kind of interpreted as two different things on different sides of the political spectrum. But the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a classic example, because I suspect the writers of that movie were pretty left wing, but it actually kind of worked perfectly as a sort of it works in two different ways. It's is it a metaphor about the McCarthy witch hunts? or is it actually, a movie about, a communist invasion? And the fact that it works both ways, I think probably what that's smuggling in is that they smuggled a left-wing movie in a right-wing message. And so that's
the ultimate Trojan horse.
Back in those days, the makers of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, they didn't have to do press junkets or anything, so they just kind of like sneaking that in there. I mean, I'm not, so I think,
I wonder what a press junket for them would look like today. That would be kind of wild, right?
I think probably not a good idea. Yeah, so I mean, I think that's the thing that I think. I mean, also it's just that also I think movies that could be interpreted in different ways. The Fly, the David Cronenberg's film, is a really interesting one because body horror in the 80s, obviously, that was right at the time of the sort of the awareness of AIDS, and it's never directly a movie about that, but it's impossible not to think about it
those comparisons
and make that comparison. And that's the thing I think that's the amazing thing about genre films, is how you can speak on a subject without even saying it out loud.
Yeah, and I feel like obviously you're doing this with The Running Man, but another Stephen King adaptation I saw this year, The Long Walk, it has that same type of thing, right? It's a big giant metaphor for Vietnam, which is what Richard Bachman, aka Stephen King, wrote it for. But in today's climate, it kind of takes on whole new meaning because you can kind of tie that to today. So I love what you're saying there. I want to go back to what you're saying about movies that were difficult to get made because of what they were trying to say. I feel like you have earned the right, no pun intended, I promise, to basically make the type of film that you want to make. I feel like when we see a Edgar Wright film, we know we're getting an Edgar Wright film. It's your passion and your voice just pops off of the screen. Do you feel how does it feel having earned the right to do that, or do you feel like you've earned the right to do that, where other directors, I feel like they have to play a little bit nice to kind of work within the mode of the studio?
Well, I think and no film is easy to get made.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
I don't want you to think that any of these films are a sort of cakewalk and stuff. It's everything is, you're pushing something uphill. So I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I think I don't think there's many directors working today who can kind of just, kind of make anything carte blanche, Right. A couple of people, but I think most people have to kind of sing for their supper. So I wouldn't suggest that getting any movie made is easy. Getting any movie made is hard, and that was definitely the case with many of the movies that I've made. For Baby Driver, was really difficult to get off the ground, and this in a different way, not in terms of this, there was enthusiasm from the studio to do it, but just in terms of the ambitious nature of it and how to kind of actually how to physically make it,
right,
was the thing that was sort of just really had to be it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to think that it's easy.
Oh no, I don't think it's easy at all. Not at all. It's just that when I watch your films, obviously your voice is just so pronounced in it, and I just feel that there's a lot of trust that comes with you when it comes to making a film. And so I just want to applaud you for always kind of having that voice and basically doing it your way, and it always comes off great. So I just saw The Running Man yesterday, and it just has that Edgar Wright feel to it.
Well, thank you.
It's an event. It's almost like when you watch Wes Anderson movies and how he creates his own genre, you know it when you see it. And I feel like you stepped into that and with your with all of your filmography,
Well, sometimes when people use the word effortless, it's what you're saying is you make something seem effortless, which means that it was done with great effort. It's that line It's that line in Sam Peckinpah's Convoy. Chris Christopherson's character is called Rubber Ducky, and they say, why are you called Rubber Ducky? He goes, because I'm smooth on the surface, but I'm paddling like the devil underneath. And that's kind of it. It's sort of it takes an enormous amount of work by hundreds of people to make something seem like it's kind of right, super slick.
And we're on the side going wow, how did they make this? And you're just whew, we made it.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Let's talk a lot more about The Running Man, because I watched this film, and obviously I love the themes of this movie, what you're saying about reality TV, and there's moments in this movie where citizens are essentially praising the network, going back to the film Network as well. And it's almost in like a cult-like way. You could definitely see like the type of government that we as Americans are living in today, like you can almost call it a fascist regime. When you see the state of like reality TV and the state of citizens almost praising it like they're doing in The Running Man, when you see that in real life, what is your emotional reaction to that, and how do you carry that emotional reaction to filming this film?
Well, I mean, maybe the truth is, and maybe this is the kind of the sobering, like disturbing part of it, is that, you know, Stephen King wrote the book in 1972.
That's the crazy thing. Yeah.
I mean, the book was published in 1982 under his pseudonym, but he wrote it like 10 years before that. And, you know, I guess it's alarming how prescient it is. And like, you know, George Orwell didn't live to see 1984, but Stephen King is still with us here in 2025. So, I mean, we did an interview the other day, and they asked him, how does it feel? And he goes, I wish it was better. But I mean, I think the thing is, I mean, it's interesting you say about the kind of the cult-like nature of the TV. One of the ideas that me and Michael Bacall had, which isn't said out loud in the movie, but we thought, like, what if the TVs are like state mandated by the states, that everybody has the same 65-inch plasma TV in their house.
Right.
So even the people who kind of have less money, everybody has that same TV.
Right.
And there's one network, and so everybody has to watch the same thing. So it's not necessarily that people are watching these shows out of choice. It's just that, like, it's the show that's on.
Yeah.
You know? There's a little bit later where you see, like, Bradley, the character played by Daniel Ezra, that, like, you get the idea that the TVs can't be switched off, but you see that he's kind of opened up the panels, and it's like has the off switch inside. You know that thing where you reach inside to turn it off?
Right.
So you kind of think he's figured out a way to kind of like sort of like how
he's
to
breaking free.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I like that. It almost reminds me of the ending of the Truman Show.
Right.
Right. Like how his show is just the thing that's on, so everyone's just very much invested with it. But once he walks out, the guy just says, what else is on? And I think it's just one of the best, like, last lines in a film.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like, all right, on to the next, right? And so I feel like in this film, people are just forcibly watching this thing, but that, like you said, there are people who are just willing to just, like, break the cord and just kind of, like, cut it and say, I'm done with this right here.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the ultimate message of the film is about. Like, there is a different way to connect, and that is in talking to each other.
Turning it off, or so he says. Something that I really like gravitated towards in this film is something that Killian says. And he talks about the previous, I want to call him like the big like producer, just like the head honcho. He says he tried to put a hypocritical message in place of just entertaining people. And it kind of positions like you can either like entertain people and just like, you know, just put things on screen, or you can actually give them like morality or try to say something to them. When it comes to making movies, and like as someone who makes movie content on the internet, there's always people who just say, I want to be entertained versus I want to be taught something. As a filmmaker, how do you react to that of like, I'm making something that has a message in it, but I also want to entertain? How do you balance on that tightrope?
I think obviously the balance is to sort of like, the win-win is to kind of do the two things at the same time. Like if you can entertain somebody whilst they're eating their vegetables, then great.
Right. you give them like the plane, just kind of like the woo, and then
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying, and I never thought of it like that, and now I will. Choo choo, choo choo. You got like a dad feeding your baby some broccoli.
Basically.
Here comes the train. Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Now when I watch your movies, I'm like, he's doing the plane thing, and I love it.
That is a very funny analogy.
So
it's funny you went with the plane and I went with the train.
I think that's how we are, man. Like this is me and you.
Are you a father?
I am a father.
And so have you done the plane thing? Do you make a plane noise?
I do make a
See,
plane
I'm not
noise.
a father, but I would have done the choo-choo.
The choo really?
Choo-choo, here comes the train,
You see,
open wide.
I think it's because I always... Listen, I mean, that's a lot of fun, but I don't really ride a lot of trains. I bet you rode a lot of trains back in the day.
I mean, I didn't get on a plane until I was 18 years old. So yeah,
I didn't
true.
get on a plane until I was like 28. So I've always had the dream of like planes have just always fascinated me. Maybe that's why. All right, next question. I really like. There was one little nugget of a line, and I just pulled this one out, and I feel like we have to talk about it. There's obviously a component of like deep fakes and AI and how they used to manipulate like the masses with information. And AI is a super huge topic, especially in the industry right now. But I found it hilarious.
I hope you're going to say the line you're going to say, but go.
I found it hilarious that Killian says, you know, we tried
that. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I'm very happy you said that because me and Michael Bacall were really proud of that. And it's a setup for something that happens later. Mm-hmm. But it's really important that even Dan Killian, even in a show where like there's a lot of manipulation of the image and there's a lot of deep faking going on and there's a lot of lying, the audience is being lied to. And that's something that I think in reality TV in the last 25 years, I think people have got wise to kind of how a show can be edited.
Right.
That you can have the villain edit, and also that members of the public or contestants on a show, somebody could be made a laughing stock. Somebody can be made the pantomime villain. That's not necessarily who that person is.
Right, yeah.
And it's a really dangerous thing. And in some shows that has led to kind of like some quite serious consequences of somebody being made a national laughing stock on TV or a villain on TV. It's like, it's very dangerous. And so then Killian says, you know, because the line is that Glenn says at one point, if you can fake everything, why don't you just fake the whole show? And Josh Brolin, as Killian replies, he goes, believe me, we've tried, but our audience lives for these happy accidents. And when he says happy accidents, he means humans.
Exactly.
And he means the randomness of like humans. And I think that's the thing that, you know, people ask about AI all the time and how do you feel about AI? And I was thinking, well, you know, it's inherently generic. It's just like an amalgam of other people's work. I want to believe that the human brain and you know and real human artistry will ultimately win out.
Yeah.
I'm much more interested in that than like what Tilly Norwood can bring us.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's like when you go to theater for a reason, because even though you're watching these great performances and this great production, you're getting immersed in something, there's that little nugget behind you that you feel the realness, and you can feel the hiccups and the mistakes, and that makes it more human, which is what makes theater so great, right?
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, so
that happens as well, like sometimes with like in making, you know, in movie making, where you actually sort of sometimes in like an action sequences, and even in things where you're sort of like doing something with VFX, you might leave in something that's like slightly imperfect because it actually feels more real. You get it in camera operation as well, is that sometimes you put in a shot which is kind of like the slightly imperfect because it has a bit more reality to it.
Yeah.
Because real life isn't perfect.
And it's so funny you said, because I worked in advertising for about 5 years before I got into this line of work, and we were making a commercial that was like a cross between the Google Pixel 4 or something and Avengers Endgame. And we were making an ad where the Google Pixel was kind of like superimposed into random scenes in Avengers Infinity War. And so one scene we had a guy who was like behind a hot dog cart while the aliens were attacking New York. And he would take a photo with the Google Pixel and he would like go back down and duck cover, and he'll look at the photo like, yeah, it looks great, it looks great. As he's ducking down, you see the hot dog cart hit him in the back of the head. And it was such a real and just human shot that we left it in.
Oh yeah.
Because it had that human error to it, right? It wasn't like super well polished, and it was every time I watch it I just go, that's a real moment there.
I'm glad that you picked up on that Killian line, because it's the thing in the movie where even he recognizes that AI is not the answer.
I wrote down, even the villain is not going to go with AI.
Not 100%.
Not 100%. It reminds me of this comic book where the Joker's being the Joker, and apparently, I think Hitler shows up somehow. He comes face to face with Hitler, and even Joker says, I don't mess with that. Heck no, I may be a mass murdering maniac, but at least I'm not you. Yeah. And so it's just one of those things where even the villain acknowledges like what's right and what's wrong. It's incredible. I believe we only have a couple minutes left, and since this like heavily deals with reality television, I need to know, what reality TV shows have you watched, and which one did you watch that made you go, oh, we're kind of going down a dark path here?
Well, I mean, I think the thing is that, like, I mean, in the UK, I mean, I think there was a period where I was probably watching more of those things, and that even if you start to sort of like tune out, like sort of like they're still like in the zeitgeist, so you can't kind of escape them. So I'm not going to say that I've watched a lot of Real Housewives or the Kardashians or Vanderpump Rules, but it's certainly I'm aware of it.
Got it.
You know, and aware of like what they look like and how they're made. I mean, I guess like in maybe like 25 years ago, when there was the real sort of like rise of reality TV in this kind of millennium, in the UK at least, like shows like Big Brother were like enormous, and like the kind of the original version of American Idol, which was called Pop Idol, and then later X Factor, those singing competitions. And then also, you know, so definitely aware of those, and also then like talk shows, like even in the UK, Jerry Springer was like massive.
Yeah.
Like that was syndicated in the UK as well, and it was like enormous. And like, you know, it's interesting. Just before we started filming, before we started filming with Josh and Coleman, that Jerry Springer documentary was on Netflix, and that seemed to confirm everything that was in the script about what's really going on behind the scenes, and like, you know, really disturbing. And so I think the thing is that, you know, even in singing competitions, like you start to find out things about those shows, and it's like ruthless and it's mercenary. And it's not good for people's mental health, and like the way things are edited is like sort of like you know, not reflective of who those people are. And you know, I think that it's TV is a very powerful medium, and I think sort of I think that fame that comes from, or infamy that comes from those shows, is a really difficult thing to deal with, even for people where it goes well. You know. Right. There's a sort of lack of aftercare on those shows about how, you know, like at least actors know what they're signing up for if they want to be a movie star. But I think people who come in off the street aren't really ready for like sort of like what fame actually means.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking to me about this, man.
Thank
I
you.
could talk to you for hours.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
This is really
great. Thank you.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Juju Green, aka Straw Hat Goofy, your movie guy, and we're back with another episode of Get Wrecked with Straw Hat Goofy, where we wreck you some really great movies and just like have interviews with your favorite actors, directors, and things of that sort, while sharing conversations about what we love. Today, we got a very special episode for you guys today. It is an Edgar Wright episode, baby. By the time you get to this part of the podcast, you will have probably seen the interview between me and Edgar Wright, where we talk about The Running Man. The Running Man comes out this weekend. Really excited for a lot of you guys to see that one. That was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Some would say it's a remake of the Arnold Schwarzenegger 80s movie, but it's honestly very, very different. It's based off the Stephen King book. I think this movie follows that book a little bit better. I didn't read the book, but I did do like a little bit of a Cliff Note Wikipedia dive into it, and this one does kind of fit the mode of that one. So we're going to talk about The Running Man. I have seen The Running Man. I'll give you like my quick little thoughts on it, the reviews, but we're just going to like dive into some Edgar Wright stuff. The man has made many a great film. I mean, we're talking about the Cornetto trilogy. We're talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is probably one of my favorite Edgar Wright films.
One of mine too.
You know, I'll tell you about a date that I went on when it came to that movie. It was very telling about the future. But also Baby Driver as well. And we know how you feel about Baby Driver. We can get into that. It's a whole thing. I get it. But I think to start off, The Running Man, right? So this year has been the year of Stephen King adaptations. There's been I think 5 of them. We have The Long Walk, which is currently sitting at my second favorite movie of the year. Lovely, lovely, amazing film. It's weird to call that movie lovely when you know how brutal and depressing that film is. But The Long Walk was great. Welcome to Derry is banging right now. Like, I think episode 3 comes out this Sunday.
Yeah, I've been watching it. It's good.
It's so good, bro.
It's really good.
My God. We need to have a Stephen King episode.
Yeah, I think so.
And then we could cover everything.
You know what? That would be a good one when Stoney is back in town. We can do that. We do a home team with Stoney.
We'll get Stoney in.
And we get Stoney in here and we'll talk about it.
I'm down for it.
Yeah.
I'm down for it. Yeah. So yeah, Welcome to Derry, The Long Walk. I believe The Institution, which is a series on MGM Plus or what's that other one? AMC. It might be on AMC. So it's An Institution, and then we have The Running Man, and I feel like I'm missing. Life of Chuck. Life of Chuck also came out earlier this year, directed by Mike Flanagan, starring Tom Hiddleston. So we've had some Stephen King adaptations, but The Running Man is out this weekend. And this was one that obviously, it's right to get excited for, because anytime Edgar Wright is attached to something, you gotta show up. Glenn Powell, who's the new movie star. Like, he just has the movie star archetype thing. Like, you know, I feel like Tom Cruise has been like, I was going to say a word that I knew the comments was just going to run with, but he's been, they're going to run with that too. Damn it. You know, I'm going to just say it. He's been grooming him to be the next, like, movie action star, right? Like him in Top Gun, and we've seen him in movies like, God, what's the one I really loved last year? Hitman. Did you watch Hitman?
Oh, I saw Hitman.
Hitman is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, and he's great.
He's really good
in
at
Hitman.
it.
He's like him and Audrey Arjona, like, they're the driving forces of that.
And I think you want to say he's passing the baton.
He's passing
there we
the
go.
baton. Thank
there
you.
We go. No shade in the comments. We're good.
Yeah, we're
passing
good. They're
the
going to do it
baton.
anyway.
I know.
It's been said.
We already know.
It's fine. But I feel like Glenn Powell is that, like, movie star quality. He's got the face. He's got the charm. He's got the charisma. And so you put him in this movie directed by Edgar Wright, and you get excitement. And there was a lot of excitement for me. Now, watching the movie, my honest opinion, it's a tale of three parts to me. Or it's a tale of three parts to me. I feel like the midsection of the movie is extremely strong. It's extremely strong. I feel like the opening, the first act and that third act, I struggle with it a lot. Because you understand where he's coming from. You understand kind of like the backstory, and, like, you know, I believe the story is like he's trying to get medicine for his daughter, but they live in slumside, and, you know, they don't have the money, and they're living in this dystopian future where there's like mandated reality shows that are very dangerous for the contestants that go on there, and the Running Man being the most dangerous one, where the whole world is out to get you for 30 days. So you have to survive 30 days, and then you'll get, like, boatloads of money, like a life-changing supply of money. So the opening of the movie, like, it's not hard to understand the stakes of everything. It just feels like we're just trying to get to that midsection. And it's a weird thing when I'm looking at the clock at the very beginning of the movie, right? And I just really struggled with it. Like, I didn't think we got enough of the world. He just kind of, like, there's this scene where he's kind of like walking from his house to the station, and I think that was meant to be like, oh yeah, this is the world, like, this is what we're living in. But for me, it just felt just in my face all the time. Now, maybe that's what Edgar Wright was going for. Maybe that was the point. You know, capitalism, like, constant, like, the TV's constantly on. One of the big messages in the movie is turn it off, think for yourself, fight back against the network. Everything leading up to him joining the game, I was just kind of like, all right, I'm a little, maybe I was overstimulated in my sense. Now, that midsection is fucking banger. Once he, like, gets to Josh Brolin, once he kind of, like, gets on that stage, and once, like, you know, Coleman Domingo's doing his thing, and he's running from everybody, and he's, like, meeting the people who could help him, the people who sell him out, that's where the movie, like, really hits its strong point. It's fun, it's energetic, it's that classic Edgar Wright, like, playing with character and picture. There's a moment, and it's in the trailer, where he's out on the run for the first time, and he's wearing a disguise, and he's kind of, like, trying to be inconspicuous, but there's a giant poster, like his wanted poster, like, right behind him. And every time he looks left, the poster looks left. Every time he looks right, the poster looks right. And there's these really great visual sight gags and, like, moments that I really love from Edgar Wright's films. Like, he knows how to just be different in how characters enter and leave a scene, and the dialogue that they have, and just like basically subverting expectations when it comes to action sequences and things like that. So Edgar Wright, once he gets to that mode of the movie, fantastic. However, one gripe that I'm finding this year when it comes to movies, and I found this very difficult with him as well, I think it has the same problem as him, is that the movie was in the third act, and I didn't know we were in the third act. It felt like we missed something.
You and I talk about not liking that.
Yeah.
You know, and I said it the other day, is when you're watching something and you're like, wait a minute, let me check what the run has been so far.
Right.
And you're like, oh, there's only 15 minutes left. I didn't even know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's, you kind of like, I like knowing when we're about to, like, we're in the third act. It's either about to escalate, there's like a climax or something, or whatever, or there's going to be some sort of resolution.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I think, like, a big part of that, and because, you know, again, this is a movie where he has to survive 30 days, right? So the passage of time in this is everything. And there are moments in the movie where they will tell you, like, oh, what day is it? Like, what time is he at? Like, da-da-da-da. But I don't think he's anywhere near, like, 30 days by the time the movie ends, right? Like, and so I'm in my mind thinking, okay, this movie is leading to the 30-day climax, because that's naturally where he has to survive. But where it's at, I'm like, wait, the time's not up. Why is the movie, like, up? You know what I'm saying? And that's something that really, it stuck with me and it bothered me. So, like, as I was thinking about that, I was like, okay, we're here. This is a big moment. It feels climactic. But at the same time, there has to be more, right? This is only day 4, day 10 maybe. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's those type of things. And maybe you could say I'm nitpicking. That's fine. Like, it's just when I watch a movie, I like to know where we're at. I like to see the chess pieces on the board. So that way, like, whenever I'm, analyzing and breaking down, like, I need to know where everything is at so I can kind of, like, see everything on the field. And I feel like the field, the movie's field, it's very jumbled for me. So yeah, that third act, it just kind of zooms in, and I just feel like it was just kind of wrapped up, just kind of like, okay, we're done. Thanks a lot. And I remember just going, oh, okay, cool. Like, and I had a good time. Like, right? I didn't walk out saying, like, that movie was terrible. I don't even think it's mid. It's just structural issues within the movie that, like, I really struggle with. But I think Glenn Powell, you know what? Another thing we could talk about at the very beginning. Me and my friend were talking about this, and I feel like Glenn Powell was overselling anger. Right? Like, because his whole character's like an angry guy, and the movie makes it a point to tell you how angry he is. And it almost seems overdone, like overcooked. Like, there's this moment where someone's asking him questions, and he's giving the most angry man answers you could think of. And it's funny, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like, okay, man, I can see the vein, like, popping out of your neck and in your head. Like, I get it. Like, you're mad. But in terms of, like, again, setting up the world or, like, the backstory, I don't understand why he's so angry other than the fact that he just is a poor guy, right? Like, I want to learn a little bit more about him as to, like, how did he get this way? What was he like growing up? Like, I know what type of man he is. He's a good man who will always go out on a limb for the little guy, but he's also angry as shit. So it's like, I'm just kind of like, so you're a good guy who does things angrily? Like, it's just these type of things in the beginning. I might have to see it again to, like, really, like, set everything in place and be like, okay, knowing this now. I think it was, like, my first time experiencing this character in this way just kind of, like, threw me off. But again, great visuals, great action. Action's pretty fucking dope. Glenn Powell, once he gets to going, it's awesome. I think Edgar Wright as a director, like, he never necessarily fails when it comes to delivering that big action. But as far as, like, The Running Man, is it, like, one of the best movies of the year? Not by any stretch. Is it in my top 10? I don't think it's in my, like, top 15, top 20. I don't know if it's in my top 20. But still, with all that being said, I know it sounds like I'm shitting on it, but with all that being said, like, I liked The Running Man, right? But yeah, man, that's just kind of like my little thoughts after seeing the movie one time a week ago.
So it wasn't one of your top movies of the year, but entertaining. And you would recommend people see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend people seeing it, for
Yeah.
sure. I just, again, as someone who likes to really know where he's at when it comes to a movie, I just feel like a lot of pieces in that beginning that could have been used to, like, setting it up versus, like, just trying to get to the game, which is good, and I understand why he wanted to get there. It's just, for me, I wish there was, like, a little bit of a slower thing. Like, I'll tell you this. I told you The Long Walk, another Stephen King adaptation, is my second favorite movie of the year. I liked how slow that movie starts. It's not to a crawl, but character walks in, you get a taste of he and his mom's, like, life together. You get their dynamic. He sits down, meets the characters start walking, boom, first character dies. You understand the situation. That was, like, I think it was, like, a good 30 minutes before the title sequence even dropped. And that was like, holy shit, okay, cool. That is a great setting of the stakes. You understand the character dynamics. You understand what's about to happen on this journey and what you're getting a taste of what the rest of the movie is like. And I feel like The Running Man just kind of drops a bunch of exposition as to their current situation. Okay, I'm going to join the game now. And then we're going to the game. So I feel like that first act is very important for actually getting me invested. And I wasn't invested until guns started flying and he started hiding, those type of things, right? So, yeah.
So let me ask you, did you see the first, like the OG Running Man?
I did.
Arnold.
I did.
How long ago?
Oh, I watched that this year.
Okay, so you watched that first.
Yeah.
So did they completely abandon the Ben Richards, Arnold Schwarzenegger cop force to be on the game show situation?
Yeah. Well, so wait, remind me, was he a cop?
Yeah, he was like a framed ex-cop.
Yeah,
and then he was
that whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
he was more in this one. He's like a factory worker or something like that. And like he's like a everyman.
Okay,
like
so every man kind of down on his luck.
Yeah.
Angry, feels like he has nothing to lose, participates to potentially change his life.
Literally, he's a man existing in a world where doing the right thing is often punished, right? Like, there's a scene in the trailer, I believe they released this clip as well, where a man starts coughing in the line because he's sick. And he, like, collapses and he gets out of line to help the guy. Dude kicks his ass because he got out of line to help this guy, right? So he's that type of man existing in this world. And I do love the messages that this movie has when it comes to, networks basically being these, like, mandated things that very much skew how we view society, right? Like, it makes uses of AI, deep fakes. They literally control what everyone watches, and that controls how we perceive each other. And so there are great scenes that challenge these notions of, like, fascist regimes using the media in order to kind of, like, control society. And I feel like those moments are really, really well done. Sometimes it can get a little preachy. There's one particular scene in a car with a woman that gets very, very preachy. But I feel like when we're just existing in the world where he's like hiding and like we hear people and these whispers about him and the pendulum swings from back to forth on whether he's a good guy, whether he's a bad guy. Those are the best things about the movie that like I was very, very much intrigued by. But yeah, the movie just has like a bunch of things and I feel like it's a lot to chew on. So I'm really like curious to see what people think about this once the movie comes out. But yeah.
Yeah, when I heard that they were kind of remaking, rebooting, whatever you want to call it, I was thinking that the creative was going to go down the line of the same framed ex-cop being forced to participate and then all these things that are just outrageous and out of control, especially with the prevalence of reality TV, because that wasn't necessarily a thing back in 1987.
Right.
So I thought there may be a little bit of a take on that. And it feels like, I don't know if you saw this movie. There's a movie that came out a couple years ago with, it's called Self-Reliance. Hold on.
It sounds familiar. I don't think I've
Jake
seen it.
Johnson from New Girl, he did a movie called Self-Reliance.
Okay.
And it was a movie about like a life or death game show.
Okay.
And it was a guy, but it was a comedy, but like kind of bumbling and like trying to stay alive and was miserable, but he could get this money. And I was like, damn, this sounds very much like that, but like more obviously a more serious tone versus comedic.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's still Edgar Wright. So like he'll still like insert a lot of comedic beats in there. And, you know, there's a lot of great one-liners that Glenn Powell like spouts out will make you laugh out loud, like totally. But yeah, it's almost like exactly what you were saying, like, you know, taking on that reality show thing. And Edgar Wright talked about this in the interview where reality wasn't a thing back then, especially when this like book was published. So it was really cool to kind of like see, things like the real world. There's even a really funny, like, Kardashians thing in there and how obsessed people are with that. So, you know, the movie has a lot of things in there, but like, and again, for me, it was just maybe a little too overstimulating for my personal taste. But where Edgar Wright is like really going Edgar Wright in it, like it's pretty enjoyable. It's pretty enjoyable. I think it's gonna be one of those movies for me that like I can just turn on at home and just kind of like, you know.
Is it like a Sunday movie?
Sunday movie.
Sunday movie.
I think it's a Sunday movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So there's quite a few things I want to talk about because Edgar Wright, I was introduced to Edgar Wright through, I want to say Shaun of the Dead. That was like my first Edgar Wright movie that I've seen. And then we know that he did like the Cornetto trilogy of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At World's End. And I think all those movies are great. I think
I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you.
You know? And then, like, obviously that kind of, like, led to him getting, like, a job, like, directing Ant-Man, which he developed for, I believe, 8 years before eventually, like, he had to leave the project due to creative differences with Marvel. And now that's one of the greatest what-ifs in, to me, movie history. Like, what does that look like? I would love to see a Edgar Wright cut of the Ant-Man movie, and I'm really excited to see what that look like. Not excited, but, like, I'm hopeful that maybe we'll get that. I don't know. But Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was another movie that kind of was a formative movie for me. I think this was around the time that I started to, like, really love movies, like in high school. And I remember going on a date with this girl, and she was like, "Oh, like, what should we do? We can go out to dinner, we can go to the fair, we can do this." I said, "We go to the fair, but first let's watch this movie I've been dying to see, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World." And she's like, "Yeah, okay, for sure. I don't know if she was planning on just getting, like, some makeout session or something like that. I don't know if that was her goal. I don't go to the movies for that, in case you don't know.
It's like, I'm a gentleman. I only want to view the movie. That's it.
It's not
I'm
even
focused.
about being a gentleman. If I'm going to the movie, this is a serious thing for me. And it's serious that I'm taking you to this movie because, like, this is a bonding moment for us, right? So I'm watching this movie and I'm loving it, right? Like, I'm loving it. But I'm noticing the entire time she's not reacting to the movie at all. Like, there's no laughs, there's no giggles, I don't condone people talking in a movie. I don't necessarily talk in a movie. But you know how, like, when you're watching a movie, you have, like, a little bit of commentary, whether it's to yourself or to the person next to you?
There is a way to talk during a movie. Not everybody knows how to do that,
exactly.
But there is a way to talk during a movie.
Like, something happens, you go, "Oh, damn." Like, I was like, "Oh," and then even if you got a question, if you missed something, wait, did that just happen? Like, you know, it's one of those type of things. It's part of the communal experience. She was not in on the communal experience, right? And she didn't know I was clocking it, but I was clocking it. I was clocking it hard, right? So we walk out, and I say, "Yeah, so what you think about the movie?" She was like, "I didn't get it." And I was like, how is this going to work out with the kids? Like, right? Like, how is this going to work out in a marriage, right? Now, me being a dumb teenager, I was like, I didn't have the intelligence to be like, "Oh, she doesn't like the same things that I like, or she's not willing to engage with the things that I like, so this is going to spell trouble for further down the road for this relationship." So I'm still thinking, like, that's okay. Let's go to the fair. So we go to the fair, and I think me seeing that movie with her turned her off a lot. And so, because she was very, like, standoffish, and it was very quiet after that, and I couldn't place what was wrong with her, but it never thought to me that it was the movie, right? So fast forward, maybe like a month later, right? Mind you, we're texting this whole time. And we're going to separate high schools. She actually went to high school with my best friend, and me and my best friend are hanging out every single day. And so while I'm at this separate school, he texts me and he says, "Yo, bro, I thought you and such was like going out." I was like, "I thought so. I thought we were on track, right?" Yeah. And he says, "Oh, why is she, like, making out with our homeboy right now?" And I was like, "What?" And then I said, "Pixar, it didn't happen," right? Literally 2 seconds later, boop, full video. I went, I'm a getter. And I think it was, like, later that day, like, we were just kind of, like, on the phone, and this is like 8 p.m. at night, something like that. And she goes, "Yeah, so, like, how was your day?" I was like, "You know, it was cool. How was you and what's his name's day?"
Oof.
And she goes, "What do you mean, me and what's his name? Like, how do you even know him?" I was like, "Oh, that's the homie." And you didn't answer my question. She goes, "I mean, I guess his day was good. Like, I didn't see him at all. Like, I guess we don't have the same classes." And I sent her the video back to her. And she's like, "Who sent you that?" "Doesn't matter." And so now she's like, "Oh my God, like, I'm so sorry. Like, it just happened." And da 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 da. And I'm like, "Listen, we're not together. You do what you want. Just don't be sitting in my face texting me all day, like, saying, when are we going out and doing it?" I don't do that, right? Like, I don't do that, at least, like, as a kid. Like, I'm not trying to, like, do the whole, like, casual dating thing or whatever. I didn't understand. I didn't know that was a thing. So that was like, and I kept thinking to myself, I should have known during Scott Pilgrim. She wasn't fucking with Scott Pilgrim.
So you shouldn't have been fucking with
So
her.
I should have been fucking with her. So I think every time I think about Scott Pilgrim, every time I watch it, I go, this movie's fucking great. Why didn't what's her name like this damn movie?
Movies do that, man.
They do
you
that,
just
bro.
tap right back into the moment when you first saw it. There's
Yep.
always some sort of connection where you were in your life and all
Yep.
that, and that's one of the things, man.
It's
one of the things I love about movies.
And I say this all the time. I say this on the show all the time. Movies can help us gauge who we are as people, right? Like your movie taste means everything, right? I can tell who you are by what you watch, what you like, what you don't. And I learned a lot about this girl that day. And I'm not saying she's a bad person, right? And I'm not salty about it to this day. It's just an experience that happened. But I should have realized that we were not compatible because of this movie, right? So, and who knows, maybe like she's married now, I believe. We're still friends, but she's married now, great husband. I believe they had a baby recently, but he seems like the type of guy that likes Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So I really hope that they either watched it together and she like got a new lens on it because he liked it, or he watches it and she's just like, oh my fucking God. Like, and she gets reminded of our time watching that damn movie.
She's like, I fucked up.
Nothing like that.
Up.
Don't
I
put that on
fucked
me. Don't put that on me.
I fucked up.
I fucked
I
up.
should have just watched the movie.
But nah.
I could have been on the red carpet.
No. Oh my God. Can you imagine if that was the case? And she's just like,
Straw hat wifey.
straw hat wifey. Straw hat wife. Straw hat Clarabelle. Because people say that Clarabelle and Goofy are like a thing. Oh, no. You know, I need to find the name of that librarian from an extremely goofy movie. Because one, she was fine. Two. That's what I'm going to call my girlfriend from here on out. Straw hat, whatever her name is. Straw hat librarian for right now. Straw hat librarian. But, yeah, but I think in my mind, it's hard. Because I'm going to ask you this. What do you think is the best Edgar Wright movie that you've seen? Like, for me, I go back and forth between Shaun of the Dead and Scott Pilgrim. Because Scott Pilgrim was just so different, bro. Like at the time it was released, like, it took, like, video game culture. It took the manga feel. You know, and I don't think it – can you look this up? Like, which came out first, Speed Racer or Scott Pilgrim? Because I feel like Scott Pilgrim wouldn't have been Scott Pilgrim without Speed Racer or vice versa.
So Speed Racer was in 2008.
And Scott Pilgrim was 2007, right?
Scott Pilgrim was 2010.
2010?
2010.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, 2010.
So Speed Racer being a blueprint, as we all know. Like, I think Speed Racer was ahead of its time in the way it took the manga feel and aesthetic and absolutely applied it to film.
I just talked to Ace about this. Ace is actually doing a video on Speed Racer.
Speed Racer's the fucking shit.
And he was saying like he just thinks that people weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
And that it was ahead of its time. We were just talking about this
I
2
agree
days
with
ago.
that. Bro, I wasn't ready for it when it came out. I was like, what the hell is this? Right? But then like but that last racing scene pulled me back into it. And then I watched it a few times after saying like, oh, what the hell is this? And I was like, this is actually a pretty fire-ass movie. And I didn't understand it at the time, but like, you know, someone who is a fan of like anime and manga and, you know, like kind of like blending genres together, Speed Racer does it possibly the best. At the very least, it is the blueprint for that. And then so a couple years later, Scott Pilgrim comes out. And I do believe that without Speed Racer, we don't get a movie like Scott Pilgrim, right? Like the fact that this movie I'm watching feels very much like the manga that I read, the anime that I watch, and the Saturday morning cartoons that I sit in front of every single Saturday, but still feels like a feature. Like that was so different when I watched it. So I feel like for those reasons alone, I would probably have to like put Scott Pilgrim as like his best movie. Shaun of the Dead, I know I saw first. I know that came out first.
Yeah,
I think that's 07.
Well, that came out a little earlier. I want to say 04.
04. Okay, yeah,
Yep.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yep.
Great. I think it's the best zombie movie of all time, if you're asking me. But yeah, man, I feel like between those two, I feel like it's Scott Pilgrim for me and then Shaun of the Dead.
For me, it's Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead is.
It is. I mean, horror is my favorite genre.
Mm-hmm.
Horror comedy at that level.
Yep.
Amazing. It is, I think, top 10.
Yeah.
zombie movie, arguably top 5. You know, my favorite is 28 Days Later. So we've talked about that. You know, but it's not to go off on a tangent, but when you're talking about watching something with people and kind of understanding who they are or maybe who they aren't. When I saw 28 Days Later with 2 people, one of them was still one of my best friends in the world. I'm like, of course you didn't like this movie. I was like, but I know who he is. You know what I mean?
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. And but going back to your point here, like I feel like just Shaun of the Dead, I don't think we've seen horror comedy executed on that level. And people that don't even like a horror genre were gravitating toward this movie. It was so well written. The performances were
top
amazing,
notch, bro.
You know,
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, like
it's
the
just
best
the chemistry.
Duo. And also it's an introduction for a lot of people, because a lot of people were probably introduced through The Office or things of that sort, to British comedy and the British comedy style, and more importantly, Edgar Wright's comedic style. Like that comedy in that movie is so fucking well done. And the moment, like the scene that I love, and I always like quote this scene a lot, is where he's like running over the plan, and he's all like, "Okay, we go, we get mom, we kill Jerry. Sorry, Jerry." I don't know the boyfriend's name. It was like, "Oh, sorry, Jerry." Boo. Then we pick up the girls, go to Westchester, have a pint, and wait till it all blows over. It's like the kinetic energy, the cuts, the editing, the dialogue. It was so fucking funny, and it was so different than what I saw up until that point. And so it was like a cool introduction to how Edgar Wright makes his films. And I believe that was his I want to say that was his second feature film after Fistful of Fingers, which he made all the way back in 1995.
Checking right now. So,
but it was just a great introduction to like that brand of comedy, right?
Yeah, because he did a lot of TV.
He did a lot
after
of TV.
Fistful of Fingers.
Well, I want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
So Fistful of Fingers, I like kind of did a cool little dive on it, and you know, it feels very much like a student film. It was his first feature. Feels very much like a student film. There's some funny moments, but like you could tell he's a little rough around the edges. Like you could tell he didn't have he made it for $15,000. It is what it is, right? But I remember seeing this interview where he was talking about how he could barely afford getting the train ticket to get to London to do Q&As for his own screening. But luckily, like at that screening, like a couple of comedians like saw it, they loved it, and that's what got him a job doing TV. And he said that's where he began to like hone his craft and to get into his movie making education. And it worked. That school worked because he's now making.
Yeah, he went from, because he did Fistful of Fingers in 95, and then Shaun of the Dead came out in 04. So years and years of just digging in and getting better. And I mean, we're talking a lot of episodes of TV. Yeah.
So like, I just think that's like really cool. And then next, you know, like the Cornetto trilogy, just like he takes it to the whole next level with Hot Fuzz, which like it's not as good as Shaun of the Dead, but because it's in a different genre, it's still at the top of its genre, if that makes sense, right? Like the action comedy, the send-up of action comedies, the satirical nature of it, the over-the-top nature of it. Like that movie is so fucking funny. It's like it existed during the time where Will Ferrell was on that crazy run that he was doing, like The Other Guys and Talladega Nights and Blades of Glory, and it had like Will Ferrell feel. Like it was like a Will Ferrell movie, but from the other side of the pond. And it was cool that movie kind of like existed in the middle of it. It was almost like while the Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers are battling it out, you had some great teams in the middle that were like top of their game. They just couldn't get nowhere because that rivalry was just so damn strong. But I feel like Hot Fuzz still transcended the Will Ferrell comedy like era of that time. That was a strong fucking era. That like he was the face of comedy during that time.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that? Thinking back of when I saw it, I didn't love it when I first saw it. Didn't hate it.
Yeah,
I just didn't love it, but I didn't love it because I'm comparing it to Shaun of the Dead. It's not that I was comparing it to other action comedies that were out. So I think that would be a good rewatch for me.
Oh, I think it would be.
Yeah, because
especially when you just realize, because like the only thing that like remains constant about the Cornetto trilogy is like some of the cast. Like obviously Nick Frost and Simon Pegg are like just constants in that whole thing, but the comedy's also, you could say, is like kind of the same, but what he does with each one, they all feel distinctly different while feeling the same.
No, and that's what I love that about just his style, his direction. I love that because The World's End is so goddamn good.
It's so good.
It's such a good movie.
It's really good.
The action in the movie.
Yo,
like the
bathroom scene.
Crazy.
It's so good.
Yeah, and I was just like, man.
That scene is so funny because they are not action heroes. They're just everymen, but everymen doing action hero shit. Like, I think there's a moment where, like, it was either Martin Freeman or Nick Frost, where they, like, bang one of the aliens' heads on the urinal, and then he, like, falls on the ground and he kicks himself through the legs of the alien, and he does, like, this action man slide. I was like, oh shit.
But see, that's what I loved about it, because I was like, you expect like silly comedy kind of action in a movie like this, but this felt, I was like, damn, they are just kicking their coverage.
Yeah,
the movie, that action was so good.
Yeah,
and comparable to any other action scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
and his tracking shots too.
Yeah,
he's using great
exactly.
Tracking shots.
I just felt like some of the techniques were just, I don't want to say a little ahead of the time, but maybe not pioneering, because that's a little aggressive.
Yeah.
But it was just like he was taking it there.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people are pulling influence. From that film.
Well, you can see the evolution of Edgar Wright through the Cornetto trilogy, right? Like, you can kind of see, like, you know, his roots of Fistful of Fingers and Shaun of the Dead. You can see his comedic roots there, and then he ups the ante with, like, you know, his the messaging and the themes and everything of Hot Fuzz, and then, like, the over the top nature of it, and using over the top action to talk about action films that are over the top. And then you see him, like, kick it to another gear as a director in At World's End, right? And mind you, I think At World's End is probably the weaker of the three, but again, the action's great. I like the center of the story about this, like, man-child, like, type of character. I think maybe the man-child thing was, like, maybe a little overdone, because again, with Will Ferrell, like we talked about, he's already just kind of, like, did that to death.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It was played up a little bit.
It was played up a little bit, right? But again, like, it's still really, really fucking good. Yeah. But then, like, I believe after the Cornetto trilogy, he tried Ant-Man. Ant-Man didn't work. Then I always say I'm excited to see what that would have been. But what was the next movie he did? Baby Driver was the next one, right?
Baby Driver was the next one.
So I think Baby Driver was his more Western movie, if that makes sense. Like, it definitely felt like it was catered to Americans. You could say because it maybe had an American cast and, like, the jokes are very American, but it feels like an American action movie, but he still had that Edgar Wright feel. He edited it to music. Like, there's this scene with John Hamm where he's firing the gun, and it's literally the bullets are coming out to the sound of the score that is happening. And, like, using the music as a character in and of itself, you know, that movie just feels like the ultimate evolution of Edgar Wright. And I feel like it was the last... I don't want to say the last good movie, because we just talked about Running Man, and I feel like that is good despite all the things that I said. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, because I didn't like Last Night in Soho. And I feel like he lost something with Last Night in Soho.
I didn't finish it.
Yeah.
I watched the first 30.
Yeah.
And I still wasn't in. So I was like, I'm just going to hit pause, and I'm going to come back when I'm in a different headspace. Maybe I'm just not, I just really wasn't connecting with it.
No, I wasn't.
And I've tried 3 times already.
It didn't feel like Edgar Wright to me. And like, you know, that was like a change in genre, because that one skewed more into the thriller horror aspect of it. Not really a lot of comedy in that movie. And I'm not trying to paint Edgar Wright in a box. Like, we've seen directors jump from here to there and whatever. But that movie just didn't feel like it had a voice. Other than some of the visual techniques that he had in that film, nothing felt like an Edgar Wright film. It just felt like a paint by numbers, horror thriller, big twist. Like, it just didn't necessarily grab me.
That's why I'm reserving, like, a critique. I want to actually watch it. The fact that I didn't make it past the first 30, I'm not going to be like, it wasn't good. I didn't watch it the first couple minutes of it. I need to sit down and really watch it before I actually have this opinion, because I've seen Baby Driver. And I've seen Baby Driver.
You don't like Baby Driver.
I don't care for Baby Driver.
So this is interesting, because I feel like Baby Driver is peak, like, and again, I've already said that I think Scott Pilgrim is his best film, with Shaun of the Dead being under. But I feel like Baby Driver is his peak Edgar Wright at the top of his powers. He's fully knowing what he's doing. He's throwing everything at the wall. He's using it, and he creates a fun, fast-paced movie with a lot of energy, great music, great performances. Like, you want to talk about Jimmy Fox in that movie. You want to talk about Kevin Spacey in that fuck Kevin Spacey. But you want to talk about, Kevin Spacey in that movie, who's good. Give credit where credit is due. Ansel Elgort, which also, a couple people in that cast, not doing well. Not very much, like, great people, right? I get it. But at the time, Baby Driver, you watch it, you're like, damn, why did these people have to suck?
Okay, so this is what I will do for the since we're talking about this on the podcast, I will say what I did like about the movie.
Okay.
While I did not like the movie, I loved John Barenthal.
Yes.
I love his performance was amazing.
Yep.
I wish that John Hamm's character was actually John Barenthal.
Okay.
I thought Barenthal would have done a much better job for me.
Yeah.
I love Jamie Foxx. I did not love him in this.
You didn't like him in this one?
Yeah, but
I loved him as a loose cannon.
There were some good lines that they got off, but it just, and then I record things in there just in my floorboards and why do I do it? I just do it to do it. It was just a little, again, I'm going bad. I'm not trying to go bad.
No, you can go bad.
I don't want to, you know why I don't want to go bad? Because I appreciate the filmmaking.
Yeah.
I saw where it was coming together. I just don't think I loved the story.
Okay.
And Lily James is in that movie.
Lily James is.
I love Lily James.
She's great in it. Yeah.
I don't think she really misses. It's all about the project.
She was great in Cinderella.
Yeah, because I've seen her in other things that I did not particularly like, but I've always loved her performances.
She's always really good.
Right. So just know.
Yeah. Isa Gonzalez.
Yes.
She's good in it as
killer.
well.
She's a killer.
Got the crazy in it. All right. So
anyway,
we talked about your extreme hatred for Baby Driver. We talked about your love for Shaun of the Dead.
But I do love Edgar Wright. Let's keep it.
Yeah, no, we love Edgar Wright. Listen,
but you know what? Sometimes it just
doesn't.
It just doesn't work for
hit.
some of us.
Sometimes it doesn't hit.
Yes.
And I feel like I've told this story many different times at this point. I don't give a damn. Like, if you're a director and you're going in with this like mindset that like everything you make is going to hit with everybody and everybody's gonna love it, maybe you shouldn't be a director, right? Maybe you shouldn't be. Like, the best directors are the ones who are so open to be like, I'm making something as universal as I can make it, and if it doesn't hit, that's just how it is. Like, it's at this point, it's not for me. It's for the people who want to rock with it, right?
But see, this is why I can appreciate and respect directors even if the project doesn't align with me or what I like, because it takes a lot to get a movie made.
100%.
Period. Yeah. So just the fact that you got something done, that's already like
I'm never
going to
fault you for that.
Right.
I'm never going to make you feel like shit for that.
Yeah, but of course, I mean, people could watch something that we've done and they'll just be like, yeah, I don't really like this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't,
this podcast ain't for them.
It's not for them. So that's what's like, I always respect people that have been able to put a project, and which is why I always try to choose my words carefully when someone asks me my opinion about it. Right? So I'm never going to disparage somebody for making a movie I did not care for. As much as I love James Cameron, you know how I feel about Avatar.
And
right?
I love me some Avatar.
But I love Terminator 2.
I love me some Avatar.
And I love Aliens.
And I think
he's made
Titanic
some of my
is overrated.
favorite movies.
I think Titanic is overrated.
And I love Titanic. But he's made some of my favorite movies. But you can miss me on the Avatar.
Yeah.
Lose my number.
Yeah.
I'm not interested.
Miss me on that. Listen, Ryan Coogler told me straight up, if I make some shit, I'm trusting you to tell me. And I will tell. No, it's a funny ass story. I don't want to get like too far into this aside. But Sev, who's the producer on Sinners, he's like a frequent collaborator of Ryan and all those guys, like at Proximity Media, running Proximity Media. Shout out to you, Sev. Like, we were at a screening for Sinners at IMAX headquarters like 2-3 weeks ago. And I love Seth because he's literally talking to people and asking them their opinion about the movie that they had just seen. And right before they answer, he says, and don't forget, you can be completely honest. Like, I would love any type of criticisms. We're always trying to get better. Like, just let me know. And for him to be that open to just say that, like, out loud, takes a lot, right? And I told him, like, what they could improve on, even with Sinners. You know, Sinners is my #1 movie, like, of the year. So, like, and he sat there, he listened to what I had to say, he listened to the criticisms that I had, And we literally had a whole like dialogue about it, about like, oh, like this is what happened here, da, 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 da. And those are the type of people that I respect the most, right? They have that sense of awareness versus like the people where they ask you your opinion on a movie and you just say like, I don't think it's for me, and they give you that look like, do you realize who you're talking to? Like, yeah, I know who I'm talking to. You asked me what so I don't know. The business can be strange, but it's fine.
We don't have to talk about it now, but I am curious what your criticism or critique of Sinners, because I know how much you love it. Yeah. So I wonder. I mean, I know I
can give it to you right now.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I can give it to you right now. It was the third act, like how you remember where the vampires descended on the juke joint and random people just started dying.
Oh yeah, we talked about this on another episode. Yeah, where were they?
And I found that they were there.
Yeah,
I did.
I remember you did a video on it too.
I did a whole video about it,
which I thought that was great because you mentioned it and then you dug in and then you actually expounded on it on your own platform.
Yeah. But in the moment, I'm just kind of like, it doesn't change the fact that they were basically absent for this entire movie. They're just there in the outskirts of every scene. Like, you don't have to give them entire character arcs or anything like that. Just establish that they're there, so that way I'm not jarred by the third act, right? And so, and he talked about it, and he was like, you want to know what's funny is that we talked about that in the edit. Like, we were like, yo, have we not been showing these people? But that was why they had the ending scene where like Smoke is like thinking back about the juke joint before they like fix it up and everything.
And they showed all the people that were in there.
So that was their way of like kind of solving that thing. And, again, you got to appreciate the thought. And they did film that. And, that it takes a lot to make a movie. Just some things just slip through the cracks. The movie is still a fucking banger. And I don't think if we would have saw more of these people that the movie would have been like a perfect movie still. But you know what I'm saying? It's just these things happen. And you just got to like have awareness of these things happening. And I wasn't a dick about it. He asked and I was like, yeah, bro, like this is all I found. And he just said, oh, for sure. Let's talk about it. So,
that's the cool thing about working with artists. They are happy most, I've found, happy to discuss their art because they want to know how their art made you feel.
It's that part, right? And because, again, once you put it out there, like it's open for interpretation for anybody. Like the 2 episodes ago, we had Yorgos Lanthimos, right? And Yorgos was talking about Begonia, which is a movie that lends itself to the ambiguity of things and like it doesn't give you all the answers. And he said, why should I give you the answers, right? Like, it's really cool that when the movie's done, you have your interpretation of it. It's not the fact that he made it that way, right? Like, oh, I'm going to just leave it open-ended and, like, people need to do it. He's like, I have my own thoughts on how this movie ended. What are yours? And we can talk about that, right? So, again, and Yorgos, again, one of those guys that I just respect, right? I don't think he would be pissed off if you said, this movie you made wasn't for me. He'll probably go, oh, okay, cool. I got my audience. Like, like it just is what it is. And so but I feel like with Edgar Wright, like to loop it back around to him, he makes so many genre bending films that he always touches on different types of fan bases. He's getting introduced to a lot of people a bunch of different times. So like, I feel like the Cornetto trilogy fans are a rabid, diehard set of fans by themselves. He brought them in further. He got a whole new set of fans with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Got a whole new set of fans when it came to Baby Driver. And then with Last Night in Soho, I wonder, again, because I didn't really dig the movie like that, and I don't know Edgar Wright, and I don't know like his thought process and like how he views audiences seeing his movie, but was there pressure to make that movie a certain way, or like, did he have audiences in mind, and that's why, was it studio interference? Like, what was the behind the scenes thing that caused that movie to come out the way it did? Because it didn't feel Edgar Wright. It felt like such a departure that I could barely pick up on his voice as a director at that point. And then after he did a documentary called The Spark Brothers. I didn't watch that one. I'm not a big documentary guy, to be honest, and I'm just not one of those audiences that he would be on, that he would have touched on that point. But then that brings us to The Running Man, which, for all intents and purposes, it feels like, I don't want to say he's getting his mojo back because like I don't think he like 100% lost it, but it feels like we're getting Edgar Wright again, right? Like after the Last Night in Soho thing anyway. And I feel like for the most part he accomplishes that. I wish there would have been a little bit more needle drops. I wish there would have been more, because he really hammers in on this idea and truth that music and visuals are so important when it comes to the movie. Like, music is like just as, sometimes more important. And what he's been doing so far, he showed that he has a great respect for music and film. And walking out of The Running Man, I can't remember a single musical driven moment, right? I'm sure there was some in there. Like, I think there was some in there. But as far as like right now, as I'm talking to you, I cannot remember any of those that stand out that I would have hoped to come out of an Edgar Wright movie, you know? So, you know, I feel like now that we're in this present time, I'm very curious to see what the consensus on The Running Man is. For me, it's enjoyable. It's a Sunday movie. It'll do its job in entertaining you. If you're looking for anything beyond that, yeah. Yeah. That's just kind of where I'm at, bro.
So before we wrap, one question for you. If there was a movie or just a standalone movie or a franchise where Edgar Wright could go back and remake it, what movie or yeah, excluding Ant-Man, what do you think he could grab and elevate?
Mortal Kombat.
Ooh, okay.
Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
Like, I say that mostly because of what he did with Scott Pilgrim, and I'm not saying it needs to be a one-to-one. I just think that Edgar Wright would understand the nature of Mortal Kombat more than anybody else in a feature-length sense, right? Because the world of Mortal Kombat, yes, it's very brutal. It can be very dramatic, especially if you play like all the games like, you know, Deadly Alliance and Mortal Kombat 1 and X and whatever. But I just feel that he will be able to capture the action, like the choreography of it. I think the dialogue will be really great. Like, he will get character. Like, the characters will be on point. I'm very curious to see what his cast will look like. And what I find is if you give him something like Mortal Kombat, that set, the vibes on set will be at an all-time high. Because what I like to do is I like to hear cast members talk about what it was like to be on set at Scott Pilgrim. And everybody, from Chris Evans to Michael Cera to Mary Elizabeth Winstead, everybody said it is the best set that they've ever worked on. And that if they would have worked on it for another year, they would have filming that movie. It was just nothing but vibes. And so I feel like, and you could tell from the movie, like you could just tell that it was a good time, that all the actors were comfortable. Everybody knew their roles. Like, everything was just so tight on that movie. I want that for Mortal Kombat. For sure.
Okay. You know, mine is a little bit of a deep cut. Did you ever see the movie Priest? It came out in 2011. Paul Bettany was in it.
Yes. He had
Carl
the fucking
Urban,
thing on his head, right?
Yeah. I thought the premise was cool. I thought it was dark subject matter. Yeah. The action. I mean, you got Paul Bettany is an amazing.
Was Tyrese in this fucking movie?
No. You know what one you're thinking about? No, you're thinking about Legion is my shit. Yeah. I love Legion.
Paul Bettany was in Legion.
Yes, I'm saying. So Paul, that's why it's always, yeah. He was in Legion.
That's what up.
So he did Legion. Okay, did Legion and Priest around the same time. So Legion came out in 2010 and then Priest came out in 2011.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I was expecting something leaning a little bit more toward the Legion aspect of it, but Priest would have been really dope if Edgar Wright would have gotten his hands on it.
That is so wild that he did Priest and Legion back to back. How crazy is that? That's wild. I really thought those were the same movie for a second. And you know, this is like right before Paul Bettany got into the MCU. This is when he felt like his career was like over.
Yeah, and I remember hearing him talk about how tough things were at that time for him, and he was about to quit acting, and he got the call for Jarvis.
Yeah, look at him now.
Yeah, look at him.
Look at him now. He's our Vision. He's got Vision Quest coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I know. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. All right, I think that's a good point to wrap this up, man. Like, I think this was a good episode. Love talking about some Edgar Wright. We gotta do that Stephen King episode though.
Yeah, I think. Shout out to Stoney.
Yeah. Shout out to Stoney. Give him a call. When is he coming back?
We were supposed to do it. He's supposed to come back this month. We just had to move some things around, so I'll try to get him back out here soon.
Right. Well, cool, man. Craig, thank you for talking to me about movies again, man. This is always such a pleasure, bro. Especially when it comes to your favorite Baby Driver.
Cut my own mic on that one. Cut my own mic.
It's all good, man. It's all good. That's the beauty of movies. We may not always like the same things, but we can at least talk about them, and that's what the pod is for. As for you guys at home, thank you so much for watching or listening to the podcast wherever you get your kicks at, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple, whether it's YouTube, whether it's iHeartRadio. Better be iHeartRadio. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you keep us in the algorithm by liking, subscribing, commenting. Let us know what you thought about the episode. What is your favorite Edgar Wright movie? Were we right? Were we wrong? How good or how bad were the takes? Anyway, guys, I'm Straw Hat Goofy, your movie guy, and if you like talking about movies, can I be your movie guy?